Alright, gamers. Episode 7 of the Zer0 Gamers podcast, but with a twist this week because we have our first guest on the podcast, as promised from last week's episode. So, hello and welcome to gamer Halzyn, also known as Hazel.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
What's up, Hazel? How are you doing, man?
How am I doing? I'm honored to be here, to be the first guest on my favorite podcast.
You flushed emoji?
Flushed emoji. Your favorite podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, nice.
Can I please be on the show?
Yeah, you didn't even have to ask. Like, me and Tano were like brainstorming on like who to have as guests, and like your name was one of the first names to come up, and I was like, "That's the one, right there. That's the one."
That's the one.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Because I mean, you are a cracked gamer, you are a handsome gamer, so you know you fit all the check boxes, you know.
I fit right in.
Yep.
I may as well be a perennial guest at this point.
Literally just guiding us to victory.
Yeah.
So what's been up with you, man? Like speedrunning wise, I think you've been like grinding a lot of DKC2 still, right?
It's been the same thing for like half a year, pretty much. I got so I've been grinding for a 38 in DKC2 any percent.
Mm-hmm.
My PB right now is a 3902.
Yeah.
That I got, I think, in December of last year.
Right.
And it's currently June 6th, so you know it's been a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just man, it's been so rough, honestly. But it's just a hard grind at this point. But I'm gonna see it through. So
yeah, that's
I'll get
good,
there,
man. And like on top of that, I think like when you got that 3902, weren't you just like PBing like back to back to back to back or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to say that you got like 3 or even 4 PBs or whatever, like just in a row, like in a small amount of time.
Yeah, it went really quickly. I was like hard stuck on a high 40 for a long time. And then eventually I started chipping away at it, and then a 39 just kind of rolled out of nowhere. And then like maybe a week later I got a mid 39, and then like another week later I got that 3902. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you went from high 39 to low 39 like super quickly. That was really weird.
Yeah,
it was mostly the boot camp I got from you, Void.
So let's go. Shout out to Void.
Yep. See, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
What makes you say that?
Yeah. What makes me say that? I don't know. Like, you know, maybe like over 5,000 hours in DKC2 at this point.
May have something to do with
Show me the records. I need to see this.
yeah.
Let me the time log.
let me show you like those live split files that I don't save up. Like, you know how you can track your playtime on live split or like your number of attempts, like, but like you need like always save your splits when you do that. Like, I don't do that. So like I don't really have access to like easy information like this. I'm just like guesstimating that I'm at like over 5,000 hours at this point, because like across all the categories that I've ran, like I've estimated that I was at like around 3K several years ago, probably around like 2018. So like, you know, now we're like 4 years later, and I'm still playing that stupid game.
It does sound about right, yeah.
Yep.
I have no idea how many hours I've put in, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't even be able to make any kind of estimate.
When did you actually start? Like, that's actually like a question that I wanted to ask you going into today's podcast. Like, because when you came onto like the DKC scene, like you kind of were already like somewhat established. Like you had like your crew of viewers, like your regulars that I don't really see in like other DKC streams. Like, can you tell us like to us a little about that? Like, where are your origins? What is the Hazel origin story?
In terms of streaming, you mean?
Well, yeah, streaming and speedrunning and all that cool stuff, yeah.
Gaming.
Okay, so gaming. All right, so streaming wise, I've mostly been a rhythm game streamer, and a very small one. Like Taiko's been my main rhythm game for a long time, which has been really fun, and I've even been ranked #1 in my country for a while.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Before.
And I've also done I participated in the World Cup once in 2018. That was really cool. So that was sort of like my main hustle, and I used to stream that a little bit in 2018.
Okay.
But I wasn't very serious about streaming until like the pandemic hit, pretty much. Like we were all stuck at home anyway, so
Right, yeah.
I figured I'd pick up streaming, and I was just streaming Taiko for a little while, and eventually decided I wanted to pick up speedrunning after I started watching Liam a lot. And a group of friends and we did like a silly Mario 64 70-star run, which is still highlighted on my Twitch. Actually, you can like look at it. It's really bad, but that was like our starts basically. And then most of them went off to do Mario 64, and I didn't want to really get into it too much, so I was like, what other game can I run that would be really sick? And I've had aspirations to run DKC2 for a long time, ever since I watched Void play it at I think it was AGDQ 2016, the 102% run.
That was the 102 run. Yeah, that was also like my first GDQ run. But yeah,
right. So like I remember watching that and being like, oh, this is so sick. And then so basically I decided, okay, I'll do DKC2, and like it seems like there's a lot of resources available for this game, so it's gonna help me learn it. And then I started doing that, I think like early April or so. And then like within 2 weeks of starting to learn the game, I had like a 45 or something like that. So it just like went really quickly. And that's basically where I started. And then like at some point you rated me, I think, and then like more people were like, oh, this is a person. And
this is a person. Yeah.
Right.
This is a person on Twitch.tv.
Yep.
Right, and it sort of started rolling from there.
I do like to do the rating thing when like, you know, there are new runners that pop up, new DKC2 runners that pop up, and they're like, they show up to my stream and they're like, hi GL, and then like all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, when I end the stream, I'm like, oh, this person is streaming, this person was in my stream like earlier today, let me rate them.
Yeah, that was really cool. I remember getting really nervous too.
Yeah,
Getting the first pointer, it's like, fuck, shit. Everyone's like watching me now, and I like fail like 1-2 wrong word like 6 times in a row. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, palms are sweaty, you know.
Yeah, straight up.
Just imagine all of the Twitch viewers at home watching in their underwear.
True.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, what made you pick DKC2 any percent specifically? Because if like the thing that like got your like first interest was the 102 run, was there a reason why you decided to pick up any percent specifically?
Yeah, 102 just seemed too hard.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Like, especially to start out with. Turns out I was more right than I could have ever anticipated.
you are definitely right on that front. Yes.
Yeah. So no, any percent just seemed easier, and like when I typed in Donkey Kong Country 2 speedrun tutorial in the YouTube, the first thing that popped up was Antilles58's any percent video. So I was like, I guess I'll just do that, and then I just sort of stuck with it.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is a very good tutorial from Antilles.
Yeah, it's really good.
I know some people like to, you know, just go where the competition is. So, like, if they're going to play a game, they're going to try to just go towards the main category just because that's where, like, the most eyes are. And, like, that's going to be, like, more of, like, oh, like, I can really, like, get into the nitty-gritty of competing on the leaderboard spots or whatever for a certain game. So, like, sometimes that's the motivation. That's been a motivation for me a lot in the past. So that's why I was really curious to know if that was, like, the reason for you, if it was something else. So, yeah, that's cool, man.
I didn't know where the main, like what the main category was really. I just sort of picked what seemed to be most accessible to me, and then I just learned about it.
That makes sense.
Being the main category, and I was like, oh, I guess that's convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
When I went to do the other DKC games, it was like, I guess I'll do the main categories in those also. Also in preparation for doing trilogy runs maybe sometime down the line.
Eyes emoji. You have the trilogy learned at this point, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I've done DKC all stages, DKC 2 any%, and DKC 3 any%.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Literally can just fire it up whenever you want.
Yeah.
I could, although DKC and DKC 3 are very fuzzy. It's been a while since I've run those games, so.
Yeah, I almost started running DKC, like the trilogy at all, with Warpless for DKC 3. I was almost going to be like the very first thing I was going to pick up. I think like what happened was I knew that I wanted to run either DKC 1 or DKC 2, and when I was first picking up DKC in general, people were talking a lot about the frame perfect tricks in DKC 1, so like I think that kind of intimidated me when I was first trying to pick it up, and I wanted to. DKC 3 was I didn't play DKC 2 at all growing up, so that one kind of was like, well, I didn't play it growing up, so I was initially just gonna go there, but when I saw DKC 3 any percent, I saw all of the warps, you know, in World 1 and 2. I was like, oh, they're just skipping all the levels. Oh, this looks so boring. Like, I want to play the levels. So I was like, warpless, easy. You know, that was literally my train of thought, like the whole way.
Warpless is the solution.
Yeah. And I think I think what happened was I like found out later that like, it's pretty tough and there's still like bleak skip and stuff or whatever. Or maybe like you do that in that category? I can't
You
remember.
do bleak skip and warpless, yeah, pretty sure.
Okay.
Oh, you
Okay,
do?
It's not a warp.
Uh-oh. Oh, it's all of those technicalities. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Right,
like
okay.
it's like
Just
back
like
in
you
the
do
day
Arkansas.
when like the goal summon in Castle Crush like was still not considered a warp. Like they were like, well, it's still not, like it's not a warp, so you could do it. But like then there was an argument, and they ended up removing it because it was like against the spirit of the category. That like you want to play warpless to like play the level, not to like skip them in like a cheater way. Anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like even with that, I mean, and now we have something else in that stage, right? I think. The team throw thing, or is that a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Oh
You do
yeah,
that in warpless
yeah.
now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
That shit looks
it's
like
kind
it
of funny how it
sucks
all
hardcore.
works.
I'd forgotten about that trick too, so thanks for triggering PTSD tunnel.
It's like, dang, I was having a good day, and then I just remembered that the team throw trick is freaking Castle
Yup,
Crush.
yup. Can you?
That shit looks horrible.
Yeah,
Not gonna
it's rough. It's rough. Like once you like figure out like the motions, it's like it's fine, and then like all you have to worry about is the B sections, and then like losing the run on like a B section, it sucks, but it's bound to happen. Like what I kept telling myself about Warpless when I was grinding it was I only need one run past Gassler because I'm fucking cracked, and once I get past Gassler, I'm gonna fucking PB. I just knew it, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's basically just the wall, like the big thing that's like right there that you need to kind of like get past in order to make something happen.
Yep.
And like what was it? That trick in particular it's like a fatigue inducing one, right? Because it's of how long it is. It's very tedious. It's not really like it's not like a trick where it's like, oh, I'm gonna do like the Brambler like wrong warp or whatever, right? It's like, oh, boom, boom, boom. You either get it or you don't. It's like this is very like hands on, which is
because one wrong input and you're pretty screwed. Because like if you lose the state to like make you climb upwards, then like there's no real recovery. Like there's like maybe like one or two spots where like there are active backups for it, but like in general, like you can't mess up. Like you have 3 minutes of not messing up.
That's really rough. And what you were saying is really interesting to me. That like you have so much confidence in your DKC2 late game that you just knew it was gonna happen after hitting the trick.
Yeah.
Like I would never have that confidence at all going into that section of the game. Like that section of the game is the hardest section in the game in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like Jesus.
It is funny like put it this way, but like yeah, like I knew that what I had to do after Castle Crush. So like after Castle Crush, I was like, well, if I could still choke. But like I don't know. I had more faith that I wouldn't choke than like that the risk of choking was there. Like I don't know. It's hard to put into words.
Right.
Like
we talked a little bit about that last episode. I want to say where we were talking about having that level of experience in the late game to where we have that level of confidence to be like, okay, well this is just like going to happen type thing. And it's almost like a defusing moment as well, because like once you get past that thing that's body blocking you, you almost are like instantly more calm because like you were like frustrated with that whatever that one thing is, and once you pass that, it's like, okay, now I'm calm because I finally got past the stupid thing that I'm really annoyed with, and now I can just do something that I find to be more fun. And even though it's all in the pressure of a run, it's still just like, not only is it like kind of diffusing for you, it's also just something that like once you have a lot of experience with it, it's like your confidence will come through and you'll be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna nail all this because I've done this like 1,000 times, Yeah.
It's interesting though, because like I don't know if the comparison would work for me if like you replace Castle Crush Wrong Warp, not Castle Crush Wrong Warp, Castle Crush Climb with Gusty Glade Wrong Warp. Right, because I've never done that in a run, and I don't know like how it would feel like to just nail that first try and then like proceed to do like a much bigger portion of the game without choking.
Yeah, you have more.
Which also
Yeah, you have way more stuff to play after
yeah,
that
and that
level.
also happens to be the part of the game where it like really ramps up really quickly.
Yeah.
Like that's where you go from PCP into web woods. It's like, oh shit, and then creepy crows, and then you have to Arctic zip. Like it's
Yeah,
oh
exactly. It's relentless after that point.
yeah.
Yeah, like I kind of want to talk about that a little bit actually, like tricks being in specific spots in the run because like recently I was doing the super jump roll in all stages in 4-1, and like off the bat I was like doing this trick in practice. I'm like it's not that bad. I feel like I could get it a good chunk of the time, but it's also in a spot in the run where like I have so much left to do after that like I can't really like take a second to breathe, you know, if that makes sense. It's kind of like okay, well I really got to get going after that. Whereas like I feel like if I hit like I don't know, like the ODA SJR, there's not as much left in the game for me to play. So it's like more it's like easier for me to be like, okay, the end of the line's like it really is right there, you know, as opposed to I really have this whole rest of this world to play, and then the whole next world, and then the whole world after that, you know, and it's just it's so like daunting. And like I recently took it out of my attempts, and I felt like my attempts got significantly like easier to handle mentally, like way easier to handle mentally. And like I feel like I don't know, I feel like there's certain games where like there's tricks that you kind of just have to do just because of how much time they save, that if they just weren't there, how much easier it would be to like do said run, you know, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I have an example of that actually that I recently applied, which is it's a smaller trick, but it's like just as like run killing pretty much, and it's Under the World in Motrol Marsh in DKC2.
Okay.
That's also in like World 4. It's like right sort of where the run like really starts, in my opinion. You've just done a bunch of bullshit auto scroller sections and like there's some wrong warp or whatever, and then you go into Mudhole and you're like halfway through the stage and you just like you miss one, like I don't know how large the frame window is, but like you miss a small frame window, you're just dead, and then there goes your whole fucking run, like midway through. And that's like such a hard one to tank mentally for sure, because it feels like such a waste of time. It's like you are just getting to the parts that are like these are really nice to experience in a run because they are hard to do and you don't get there very often. And then like right at the start of that, you do some like small optimization that saves probably not even half a second, and you miss it and you die. So it's like that's one of those things that I just had to like I had to forfeit it because I couldn't I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And the level of like comfort, I almost feel like the fact that you experience that almost also just makes it better too, because like when you decide to take that out, you're just like, oh, like my run's probably just not going to die here, you know, like you almost know it's not going to die. And then that kind of goes back to the confidence thing we were talking about. You now have that confidence because you've experienced something so much worse than what you're doing right now, that like you're just like, oh, this is super easy, I'm just gonna do this, no problem. So it's like, and that almost makes it easier to do the standard stuff, which for all we know, if you didn't ever even try to do that strat, you might have struggled with something that's more standard there in another alternate universe or whatever, you know.
Right, yeah.
So like I don't know, I always find stuff like that to be very like I don't know, like I think trying strats that are like really almost unnecessary but like good time save, like worth time save for go for, and then like taking it out afterwards, it kind of like snaps you into reality a little bit. I think like it's kind of just like, oh well, this isn't that bad now that I've taken this thing out because I've experienced so much worse.
Yeah, and like I think the comparison Hazel made with like singling out specifically the Mudhole Marsh Underworld roll, like that's such a good example because it saves like basically nothing, right? And it's such a hard roll, and like if you mess it up, like you feel so bad because like you said, that's like right where the run starts to pick up. Like to me, like the halfway point of DKC2 is Bramble Scramble, right? You get past the wrong warp and you're like, oh, okay, this is like actually where the game starts. And then like you get into Mudhole, which is another difficult level, and then like you have that stride like cut off like immediately, and it's brutal, man. And like that roll specifically, like I don't even go for it in like marathon or no reset runs because it's a dumb roll, and like I said, it definitely saves less than a half a second. Like it saves like close to nothing because like there's so many alternatives in that section that are like much safer and that don't even like not safe, but they don't even lose as much time over the underworld role as you would think. And I remember like at some point I was in Gil's stream and like Gil told me that like he was inspired by like me to retire the Mudhole Under the World role because like he saw me like skip it in like no marathon and no reset runs, like when the tournament was happening, like he saw me skip it and like he saw me like not do it in like runs on stream, and he was well, Void can like fucking 38 for free without that role. I'm gonna do the same. And like I do like that approach. Like if that makes you like more comfortable to like remove this annoying strat that like freaks you out when you're on like past like the point of like no return, when it like when you have like the run going, like you really should like you said, Tylenol, like it's just gonna make you like feel much better about your attempts.
Yeah, exactly. And like I don't know, I really like that example that you brought up with Gil, because like sometimes you just need to see someone else doing it, to just rethink about it to yourself, because like sometimes you're just like, I don't know, it's really easy to like go into somebody's stream that's like got a faster time than you and just look at them play and be like, wow, they just do everything and they just always never mess up everything, and it's like, well, I guess if I ever want to get certain type of time, you start to get all these ideas, but once you see like, we're human, like once you see that like somebody like struggling with it or taking it out for whatever, like there's like a role in Blackout Basement that like Lovebird doesn't do at all over a tire, and it's not necessarily like it's hard, but it's extremely risky, but they never do it. And you would think this is Lovebird we're talking about, who does like everything, who's cracked as fuck or whatever, and it's like here's like a thing that they're choosing to not do because for a very understandable reason, so it's like sometimes it's nice to see that and then to rethink to yourself like, well, Lovebird's got like a 3403 in NMG, a 30 in all stages. I don't need to do this, like for example.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like sometimes that extra step of like seeing somebody else do it, because speedrunning can be like a very like group-esque activity. It's not actually, you're not actually always doing stuff directly together, but like the fact that you're seeing someone else do it is just, it can really help open eyes for like your own attempts and how you're approaching things yourself.
Definitely. And I've seen it with myself too. There was definitely a portion of my like, I don't want to call it a career because it's pathetic, but like,
career.
Just
say it. Okay. Just say it.
Okay.
Say it.
You're running career, baby. Where I was like, okay, like I'm now at a certain skill level where I should do everything, and like I was like so hell bent on that mindset of like I need to learn all the tricks, I need to do all the strats, I need to do every single little stupid optimization that I can, just because I have this time now and I'm going for this other time, and then like eventually that faded away again. Also a little bit indeed after seeing like other people be like, hey, wait, like not pick that stuff up and still getting really good times. It's like I really don't need this, and then you can just sort of drop it where you see fit.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Hazel, you said that your last PB was in December. Is that what you said?
Something like that, yeah.
Goodness gracious! Like I'm really curious, because like the longest I went without getting a PB was about that long too. It was about 6 or 7 months of like actively grinding all stages, and I remember like how I felt during that time period. There were days where I'd sit down and do runs, and I just didn't think I could PB. Like I'd sit down and I'm like, I don't even know why. Like I would literally think this, which is really bad, but I would literally think, why am I even doing this? Like, because I just was almost so convinced I could not PB anymore. Like when I was doing that, and it was rough, man. It was like probably some of the hardest like I'd fought. I had a 31-30. What the heck did I have? I think it was a 31-38 maybe. And 31-43. I lied. 31-43. And I was trying to PB and I couldn't do it for so long. And I think that was kind of because my PB before was really out of my skill level at the time. And I was like really, really grinding for it. And I think eventually after 6 months, I got a 1 second PB. And I was like looking at the screen. I looked at my splits. I was just like, what? I was like, that's what for 6 months, like,
yeah.
so like I'm really like wondering like kind of, you know, I'm sure it's not fun, you know, to be like I went this long or whatever, right, without getting a PB, but like how are you feeling about like how you want to approach things like moving forward since you recognize that it's been that long, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been like rough because like aside from being a speedrunner and a streamer, like I also just have a full-time work commitment. Like I'm a software developer, so like
You
40
say that
hours
you have a
of
life?
my week.
What?
Yeah, that's
You
the
have a-
problem. I have a life next to this stupid fucking game.
Hold on.
Press X to doubt.
That's a fucking L right there, bro.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, but like balancing a full-time workload with streaming is really hard. At speedrunning as well. Like it's so hard when you've had an 8-hour workday and like you've had a commute to home and then like you've had dinner or whatever and you like sit down in your room on your chair and all you want to do is just and like do nothing for the rest of the day because you're already spent.
Yep.
But then you have to like sit down, like hook all this fucking console and stream shit up and like that's already that already takes like 10 minutes. I'm just like, god damn it, dude. And then like you have to start the stream and like be mentally prepared for that, and then you gotta like actually do attempts that you really have to like put focus into and really try hard at. Like it's just really hard. So I think like my main issue with the grind has been like my lack of committal to it. Partly because of just the fact that I just can't bring up the energy to run the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otto talks about that makes a lot.
Yeah, and that makes it really hard to improve because you're not constantly playing the game day in day out. Pretty much. Like if I were to sit down and I play the game for a couple hours every day, I'd probably have my PB by now.
Yeah.
But like I just can't.
Yeah, I understand. It's so hard. Like having like I completely respect people who can like get off of like the work grind like every day and then like fire up stream for 5 hours and just like balance like both of those things. It just seems so precarious, and like you said, like once you're like done with like everything for the day, like you just want to relax. You just like want to like do what you want to do. Like if you want to play like something else, then like you want to play that something else. You don't necessarily want to like waste your precious like free time away like trying to speedrun. And like when you like, especially like when you think you're not like either like in the right headspace for it, or like if you just don't think that like the effort you're putting in is not showing up. Like if you like really want that PB and like you just don't think that like the work you're putting in is gonna like amount to something at some point, then like it's like even harder to just motivate yourself to like do the speedrun thing after doing the work thing.
Yeah, it's rough. And like I consider myself extremely lucky because I work in the evenings. So like when I stream first. That's the first thing I do in the day, as opposed to the last thing I do in the day if I were to work in the mornings. I did used to work in the mornings, and that I remember every time I came home, like when I around the time period that I first got my 31 at all stages, that I did work in the mornings and I would stream in the evenings, actually exclusively. I think 4 days a week is what I did. But like the best time to do that are the days that you have off of work, which are like the weekends. But like that's usually when you're like, I'm gonna go see some friends. I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna go whatever, to a party. I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that. Like it's like, so unless you don't plan on doing any of those things, then like it's pretty hard to like motivate yourself to like sit down and do it. Especially, and I really want to use that word like put a lot of emphasis on that word, motivate. It's like because I do think that like with enough motivation it can be possible to like push yourself to like make the runs happen at the end of the day after a work shift. But like that's not just gonna happen like magically. You have to have like some kind of like deeper like desire to like push yourself even though you're tired after an 8-hour shift or whatever, And it's like, for me, this is what I'll do a lot of the times, like to motivate myself. I'll just look at the leaderboard. I'll look at the leaderboard and I'll look at my old PBs. That's something that will always spark something in my brain. Like I don't know what it is, but like sometimes I'll just see it and be like, damn. Like I'll look at my run, I'm like, oh, I made a mistake there. I was like, oh, this PB shouldn't be that bad to beat. Or like, oh, I remember how I felt when I got that time. You know, like it really like sinks it in. And then like I'll look at the leaderboard and see where other people's times are at and where mine is and how long ago. I was like, I can beat that, you know. And then sometimes that is enough to motivate me. I'm not saying that that will like be enough for you or whatever, like anyone else, but like that is something that I like to do whenever I'm feeling so detached from my attempts and I'm just kind of like whatever.
Yeah,
but...
I can kind of relate to that a little bit because like at this point I know like every time save I have like from my PB, like I just know it, like all the spots I know like what I messed up, and it's like that like that overarching feeling of like I've been so close, but I've just if I had done like one level better I would have already been where I needed to be, and it's like that margin is so small that I'm like that's sort of been like my main drive to like keep it going sometimes and like actually do start up stream and like play the game. And just knowing that I'm that close, and even like recently just like getting some attempts in where I get like say like my best pace ever going into like World 4 or something, like
so
even stuff like that is like, but it really helps because like at least there's some tangible improvement. Like even if I haven't PB'd in 6 months, I've just gotten my best World 3 exit time ever. Like just little things like that. It's stuff like that that kind of does keep you going. But then that's like true, there's just a lot of other stuff going on. Like there's also personal stuff I won't get into, but like it could just be really hard to like motivate yourself to just play.
Oh yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like what I always like to say, because like this is just my own personal thing, but like I always say that it will only not happen if I stop. That is what I always say. If I want like a time, it will only not happen if I don't play. Like, and it's like it sounds silly to think like, yes, I like literally will try to like envision myself like I have this time. This is my PB almost, and like but that will only happen if I just keep pushing no matter how hard it gets. Because like I think Void one time he told me like it's supposed to suck. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. This is speedrunning.
Yeah.
What really makes it worth it is that like when you push through all that and just actually get your desire. Your goal,
it's such a good feeling when you do it. But like by nature, like this hobby, you will fail more often than you will succeed, and like you have to like be okay with it because you know that like the reward is gonna be worth it.
Like when I was, you'll do it, Hazel. I know you will.
Never.
It's also like the thing with it as well is like it's not just the reward for me of getting the time, but it's also the reward of finally getting to start the new speed project that I've been planning for 6 months that I can finally pick up.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like an extra reward that you're basically giving yourself, because you could stop and work on that now if you wanted to, but like it would feel way better to do it if you feel like you've actually finished the thing that you came here to do. You know. Yeah. So like I totally get that.
Yep.
And as far as the choking runs is concerned, like I always try to think about it like choking like runs is like it has to happen. Like it must happen. Like you make a contract in blood to choke runs once you decide to like do a certain like grind or whatever. Like when I was grinding, and the one time I really remember this happening was when I was grinding NMG. 5 or 6 runs in a row to perils, I died in that stage. Like it got to a point in which I was like, what is the point in doing runs if I'm going to die in perils? Because it happened, like, I mean, if it happened once or twice in a row, fine. It was 5 or 6 times. And I was just like, at this point, like, I'm collecting perils deaths, you know? I'm like, let's go for 7. Let's go for 8. Let's go for 9.
It's like
you know?
the Mario
like...
Maker, like the little X that pops up. There's a bunch of them in barrels.
Yeah, like literally. And in my head, I'm just like, this cannot happen for forever. It can't. Like, and it really can't. Like, if you just keep doing it, it's like, all right. Like, I almost go into perils, and I'm like, I'm going to die here. I'd just like to die somewhere unique, because that would be more fun, right?
Yeah.
At this point, like, I almost expected it, and then like me expecting it and really going into it, like, yeah, I'm gonna die here. Like, when I finally didn't, I was like, oh, I'm like, heart starts thumping, stay real quiet, fight Neki, you know, like.
That's the part where you just go like. stone face. It's like
Yeah.
chat doesn't even exist anymore.
Wait! I beat the level. Pause, chimp.
Yeah. So like with losing runs or whatever, like it's almost like guaranteed to happen. Like I hope that it does not happen to you as much as it happened to me in Perils, but I will like say that that is like inevitable. Like it just has to happen.
Yeah.
Like
I've already had it happen a couple times. Yeah, I've had some paces that have been 38 paces, like halfway through World 6, that have just sort of died to not really major mistakes, but just sort of small things that just like little silly things in clappers or like in TLC.
Yeah. Like
not even missing
death
a
by
run,
1,000
being
paper
slow.
cuts kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Death by
yeah.
1,000
And
paper cuts.
especially Toxic Tower, which is also where I lost 8 seconds in my PB to my gold. Like that stage
hard.
is so easy to just make so many small mistakes in. It's
Yup.
and like I've been practicing it. I feel pretty confident in it now, but like even then, like there's always that chance you just like miss like a little short hop and like suddenly you go careening off some ledge because Riley's a piece of shit. And
Hey!
so it's like
He said it.
I think I've just made Blueberry very happy.
Yeah. I actually don't know if Blue listens to the podcast, but shoutouts to Blue.
That's blue.
Probably the most well-known Ratley hater of the DKC community.
Who's the
I
most
don't actually
well-known,
hate Ratley. I just hate him when he doesn't work with me or
Yeah,
he
yeah.
for no reason.
See, I feel the same way about Ramby.
Could you imagine if you could play
I'm not gonna
Winky in
argue it.
Toxic Tower?
What was that, Tom?
Could you imagine if you could play Winky in Toxic Tower? That
Actually,
seems like
yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Like just
That does seem like a good time.
up and bounce on it. Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
When you
Yeah.
can't double jump, so that would just like be easier.
Well, yeah, it
Worry
would just
about
be
it.
like doing Toxic Tower with Winky, but like or doing it with Ratley the natural way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically like the casual way or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yep.
man.
But yeah, like that's part of the reason why I put in so much time in Toxic Tower is because like that level is, even when I started, it was just such an important level. It was so easy to bleed time into it, and like one missed jump can like be like a second or two just right off the bat, and it's like that late in the run, like it's huge. So I really like wanted to make sure that that level was like polished, and like what I was saying earlier about like being confident in my late game, like that comes like part of it comes from like just having like really good Toxic Towers. Like I know I'm just really good at that level, so like I know that when I'm on pace, it's not a problem. Usually, it's not a problem, and like
I don't think I've ever seen you mess that level up. Like every single time I've watched you in Toxic Towers, you've just nailed it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's so infuriating because I just can't do it like that.
Yeah.
But also, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But also, fuck you.
Yeah.
Happy for you.
Speedrunners hate him. How does he do it?
How does he do
There's
it?
a one simple trick: just sit in front of the TV for hours.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think
Like,
the big thing is like being like having a lot of backups for like just like you almost like know exactly what you're going to do once you mess up a certain thing, like basically, as like from what I can tell is like really important in that level. And then eventually you just get to the point where you're void and you just are like, I'm gonna get everything.
yeah. It's funny because like the backups that I developed for Toxic Tower in particular, like they kind of just came up naturally. Like I was just practicing the level and like, oh, okay, like if that happens, then like I should do this, and like if that other thing happens, I should do that. But like I'm not like it's funny because normally like I'm not a big backup guy. I never was a big backup guy. I was always like, okay, do like this one thing and like be as good as you and as consistent as you possibly can on that one thing. But like that's bad. Don't do this. Like backups are so important, and like it's unbelievable. Like you don't want to like stake the whole run on like something that may or may not work. Like you want to like be prepared for like the outcome that like something bad happens in like any given spot, like, and like the better you can recover from that, like the more chances you give yourself to like potentially salvage a PB or whatever. Like backups are so important.
That's why
I feel like
good.
I feel like backups like eliminate like one of the biggest sources of like runs dying, and that's hesitation. There's just like there are those moments where you're like something happens and you're not really sure like like what to do after, and then you do like a weird input, and usually that just gets you killed, or just loses you a ton of time. Like if you just know your backups, that just doesn't happen, or not, like at least not nearly as often.
Yeah, I'm good at losing runs that way. By the way, the hesitation deaths. Yeah, yep. Learn your backups.
Learn your backups. Yeah, like when you go into a certain section and you just are like, it's having good backups ready to go. You go to a spot and you're like, I'm going to get past this spot. How it's going to happen, I don't know. But I know like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different ways to get past it, you know? So like, regardless of what happens, I'm getting past that spot, you know? And in the rare event that, you know, you die or whatever, it's like, oh, I died because I did this. And it's okay, just don't do that one thing next time, or play it a little safer for that one spot, and then you'll be like, okay, cool, now I just have to like, now it's like you basically gets to a point to where like you'll die, and then it's like you'll mess up but you'll be okay, and then you just will eventually get to that point where you just don't mess up at all.
So because kind of like because you'll know why you messed up in that
you'll know why you messed up, and then if you mess up and don't die, you know exactly what to do to like to prevent yourself from dying. So like it basically makes you so many levels of preparedness that like you're gonna be just fine, which is why I think that like trying to like lower resetting is like really important, because like if you mess up somewhere, you can just try it again real quick just to see like maybe what happened, you know, and like try to like learn something from it type thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. But so you're saying that speedrunning has layers?
Just a couple.
Speedrunning is like an onion. It has layers.
That's where I was going with that, so...
And onions are oval. Or not oval, spheres. Gosh, ignore that.
So true.
Onions are spheres, and spheres are like the world, and the world is where we live, and... Yeah.
Go on.
Go on.
And this is eventually gonna go down to something like speedrunning is life.
Yeah. Speedrunning is love. Speedrunning is life.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What actually? Okay. So another question I had for you, Hazel. Like, what? Like, have you like been big into the DKC series as a kid? Like, or like, what makes you pick up the DKC series specifically as speedruns?
Yeah, I played them as a kid. On my brother's Super Nintendo. My brother, who some of you might not know, he's like 14 years older than I am. So like he's always been a pretty big example to me, like in life in general. But like he had an N64 and he had a Super Nintendo and he had all these like awesome games. I came into contact with so many great games that way, like the Banjo games, all the Donkey Kong games, like Mario 64, whatever, all that stuff. So like yeah, I played a ton of DKC as a kid, like all 3 games. I think I've like fully completed all of them at some point, like as a child. So like yeah, I've been like super into them from the very beginning, pretty much. That made it really easy to like pick them up too, because I was already very familiar with the game's mechanics and the levels in general. And I also have the 3 GBA ports as well that I used to play a lot as a kid. Like once my brother moved out of the house, and I didn't have access to the SNES games for a while, I had like the GBA games to hold me over. So.
Yo, nice.
Yeah, big DKC fan.
I really like only had 1 and 3. Like I just like there's just that hole in my life. Like I never had DKC 2. It's like crazy how I dodged it, because I had DKC 1 on the SNES. I didn't have 2 or 3 on the SNES, and then I got 1 on GBA and 3 on GBA. But that was just a huge coincidence. Like there is like a world where I think like, because my mom bought like my younger brother and I, like I think like she bought him Sonic Advance 3 for the Game Boy Advance, and then bought me Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Game Boy Advance. So it was like 3 and 3 thing. Like it wasn't really, it was literally just that. It was, but like there's a world where 2 and 2 happened, and then I played Donkey Kong Country 2. My first experience would have been 2 GBA. There's like, if that little thing went differently. And then who knows what would have happened there? Maybe I would have like picked up Donkey 2.
You know what though? Like 2 GBA is still DKC 2.
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a version of DKC 2 certainly, but it is
DKC 2. But you can race with espresso.
Yeah, and you can like you know hook up stuff on the funky plane and like build statues and shit.
Those mini games are funny. Yeah. Some of them are really bad.
And jank.
Yeah.
I heard so much about DKC2 when I was like really little. Like, I mean, I just heard like because my older brother talked about it, and I think he played it like at like a friend's house or something. Like, but like, and I had heard like from my siblings basically about how like good the game was, but I was just like, oh, this game is like legendary. Like I like, but I didn't have it, so it was like something. It's like if I saw it, it was like the golden, like whatever. Like,
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the golden video game
Yeah.
that I needed to look out for. So like, even when I was like really little, I knew that like DKC2 was like a really like dope game, even though I had not played it at all. So like, just growing up and just seeing it and then hearing about like obviously like the soundtracks being as popular as they are, I was just like, yeah, I mean this has always been a big game, in my eyes at least.
Yeah, yeah. Like for me, it was like I had two cousins. One of them had a SNES with DKC1, and the other had a SNES with DKC2, right? But I went to my cousin's place that had the DKC1 more often than the one that had DKC2. So like I played DKC1 like a shit ton as a kid, but whenever like I would get the opportunity to go to my other cousin's place and play DKC2, it was like Christmas, because I was like, man, this game is crack, like. And eventually I was able to like acquire both DKC2 and 3. That's like, well, that was my first experience with DKC3 on emulator. But like I had like those anti-piracy ROMs, and like I could never get past Squawk's shaft in DKC2 because like the Squawk's crate wouldn't open, and I was like madging over that. And like in DKC3 I could never get past Logi Labyrinth because like the sprites were like completely like covered by the thick gamer grass fog, like it's just so like that sucked. But like it still like was a grand old time just playing those games as a kid. Like if it wasn't for that, like I would not be speedrunning Donkey today. Like it's crazy to think about.
Instead you'd be running A Link to the Past or something.
I mean I don't want to like curse myself, but like I might be like a Super Mario Sunshine speedrunner.
No!
Oh no!
Yeah.
I just tweeted about that game, man.
So I wanted to bring something up. The Donkey Kong 64 randomizer just got finished, like just the other day, I think.
Yeah, like yesterday or 2 days ago, like really, really soon.
Yeah,
like,
really recently. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am like extremely interested in it because I really like that game, but I do not want to speedrun it. So like for me, a randomizer is really up my alley. I really might try it out. Void, I don't know if you've played through the whole game yet.
No, so like as a kid, I played maybe like 15 minutes of DK64, and I was like, this game is not like the DKC games. I'm out. And that's pretty much my whole experience with DK64. Nowadays, I like to meme about like, hitting the game or whatever, but like I really don't have like any hard feelings towards it. Like like at some point I would like to stream it, like it would be good content, but like as far as like the randomizer is concerned, I'm quite a ways away from that. But like I am definitely down to watch the gamers do some DK64 rando.
Yeah,
I love DK64.
It's like, such a cool game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like I played it a ton as a kid, like a ton. Yeah. And I used to just like sort of wander around aimlessly, not really knowing what to do, but it's like one of my favorite like nostalgia games for sure. Going back to it now, it's like there are definitely like you grow up, so you learn how to like critically think, and like you start seeing the flaws in what used to be like your favorite things ever. And like as a kid, I was like 101%ing DK64 is like one of the best things ever because there's so much to do. And now I'm like 101% in DK64 is one of the worst things ever because there's so much to do. But like, but no, like I still really love the game. And a randomizer sounds really interesting. Like, how does it work?
I think they randomize upgrades that you get from Candy Kong and Cranky Kong, and I want to say, what's the other thing? I think they might randomize blueprints, and I'd have to go check into more of the details because I've only like kind of touched the surface of it. But maybe keys as well. Maybe there might be like a setting to like randomize like levels, like level entrances too, but I'm not entirely sure.
Mm.
I just kind of like I watched Tudos stream it for like a little
Oh, yeah.
bit, and I was like,
Cool guy.
yeah, very tall as well.
I wouldn't know that.
I remember like I didn't know who Tudos was at all until I saw them in person at GDQ, and I was just like,
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Kudos.
He's a tall lad.
yeah, I was just like, goodness gracious. I don't know. I'm always so like so shocked when I find out how tall people are, and they're like, oh, I'm like 6'6" or whatever, and I'm just like, it's gracious. Like,
Right?
6'6", Jesus.
I'm not saying that Tudos is 6'6". I'm just saying it as an example.
Yeah.
But like Twig, for example, Twig is tall as fuck.
Really?
Twig is like 6'5". Yeah, the first time I met him, I was like, damn.
People are often surprised at how tall I am. Like they can't really tell.
Aren't you like 6'1"?
I'm 6'2".
Damn, that's close.
You wait. So boy, we're like the same height, right? Kinda.
I'm 5'9".
I might be a little taller than you. I think I'm 5'10" ish. I haven't like checked in a while. But I think I'm somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm
we're
5'9".
we're close in height. Yeah.
Yeah. Hazel just like looked down on us.
Yeah.
I may look down on you in person, but I look up to you in spirit.
Oh.
That's sweet.
What you look up to us? But yeah, that like you're right about that. Like you can't tell from just like looking at you on cam like how tall you are.
Yeah. There's just no real way to know unless you see someone in person, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So does that mean you're coming to AGDQ in 6 months?
I don't think I'm ever coming to the US, period.
Yeah. I understand completely though.
Yeah, like I'm good.
Yeah.
Speaking of GDQ, that's like kind of around the corner, right? That's GDQ.
It's in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
That's so
the end of the month. Yeah, like I don't know. I'm commentating Tonkatsu's RBO run for it.
Are you going to the event?
No.
Okay.
No, Tonkatsu's run is remote.
Yeah. I was familiar that Tonkatsu's run was remote. I don't know how many that's so interesting to me that they're doing a hybrid of remote runs and IRL runs like for the event. That seems like, I don't know, to me that sounds like very like stressful to like run, but I also I mean they've got a good crew, I'm sure, so
yeah, it's probably like it's gonna be interesting to like juggle that like setup wise. You have to like worry about like other people's setups and like the GDQ setup in a sense, but I think it's a good change overall. Like I think like it promotes accessibility for sure. Like it also like gives an opportunity to like promote diversity for another.
Yeah.
And like people who can't travel to GDQs, like they can submit runs still, and like it's not gonna like they won't like blatantly get like not discredited, but like not accepted, like for the event if like they just can't make the event or whatever. Like it gives them like a backdoor way of still getting into the event, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
But I wonder. Sorry, go ahead.
That was my concern as well, because like I remember submitting something at the end of 2021 to GDQ, and because I was thinking like this is most likely going to be the last like fully remote GDQ, so I should probably like get my shot in now while I still can, before I can like never play anything there ever again. So like the fact that it's now remote is really cool, or like a hybrid is like it's like really nice.
Yeah. I really like that they're doing this. I think that I low-key think that this might have just been a good idea to do even if COVID wasn't a thing. Just because, like, I don't know.
COVID just, like, pushed them into doing that. Like, it pushed them in that direction. Yeah. But, like, yeah, I think it was gonna happen eventually, but probably, like, a few, like, more years down the line.
Yeah, this really just like forced it into existence. But I'm really happy that they're doing this. Like, it's so hard for like I have like European friends that are telling me all the time like, oh, like I want to go, but it's like so expensive, and it's like they want to submit, they can't go like because of money. It's like what the heck, man? You know?
It's like, okay, you want to go to a GDQ, but like, the flight alone is $1,000. Oh, okay, cool. And then like, yeah, and then you have to pay for like hotel, food, like
Just to be there for like 1 week. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
And 1 week, I mean, like 1 week to fly like across, across all that water is just like, it's like you'd rather be there for a little longer,
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
like at least 2 weeks. So it's like having to
Definitely.
just kind of muster up that trip and then come back.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, like I think like the Swedes, for example, like there's like a big Swede crew that like comes to GDQs normally. Like I think they fly in like maybe on like the Wednesday before the event or something, and like they might leave like a little later, like after the event is over. Like I don't know, but like they do come in like before the event starts.
yeah. But
That's
Tonkatsu
smart.
getting his run in, I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, I've got to go because I got to meet Tonkatsu." And then I found out he was doing it remote, and I'm like, "Oh."
I guess I'm not going anymore.
Damn.
Honestly, I literally, I'm not even kidding. I would have considered at least going there for like a day or two just to like meet Tonkatsu.
Just for
'Cause I don't think
Tonk, yeah.
I wouldn't get to meet him regularly. He's in Japan, so it's like the opportunity wouldn't be like nearly as there wouldn't be that common. So it'd be nice to just get over there just to at least meet him. There's obviously other people I'd like to meet over there, but I'm sure
They're not Tonkatsu.
freaking Tonkatsu. He's so funny. He's such a funny guy.
I love the channel point reward he has. That's like it's only 2 channel points and it says like eardrum.
Yep.
And like whenever he like yells like on stream, like he just screams in the microphone, you see like a wave of people just clicking that channel point reward and it's like eardrum, 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 eardrum. It's like the funniest thing to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just love it.
It's
I
so
used
good.
to watch his streams before bed. Big mistake. I literally woke up at least 4 times to him like screaming, which I'm not like I'm not making a big deal out of it. It's definitely on me to have his stream up in that situation, but goodness gracious, it would just startle the heck out of me. Like I'm just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Look around in a cold sweat. Hear Tonkatsu scream.
What happened? And yeah, like a sub alert, there's just like the marmot fucking screaming or whatever.
Yeah.
That's so
No,
Yeah,
good.
true.
Beaver thing.
Such a loud
Oh,
streamer,
man.
but it's great. He streams when I work, so that's very convenient.
Mm.
Oh yeah, you can just have him up on the side. That's awesome. Yeah, that works out.
Yeah.
I can't ever really watch him as much because it's either like really late at night or it's like what's the other time? Like sometimes like right as I'm waking up or like really late at night.
Yeah, it's
I
like
watch,
either like early mornings or late nights because like he's essentially like 12 hours in the future from us.
Yeah,
That's
and
sort of
then-
what most American streams are for me.
Yeah.
exactly.
I have to miss so many of them just because I gotta catch my sleep.
Except for mine.
Sucks.
Let's go.
Yeah, you stream at a good time. Like I'm glad.
EU
Honestly,
friendly
Floyd
hours.
too. Like you're streaming a good time.
Yeah. European friendly streams.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, for real.
Alright, gamers. So, thinking we could wrap this up.
It is time. It is time. Yep.
Sounds about right.
Hazel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Very, very nice to have you on the podcast.
Yep. You.
And,
We might invite you again since you were so nice and so handsome and so lovely.
Let's go. I did my makeup before the. No, I didn't. But
Aw. I was about to be like, let's go.
Don't tell me you didn't choose that shirt on purpose, though.
Actually, I did. I was wearing this yesterday because we were having a family thing. So I sort of like wore this when I woke up. I was like, you know what? It'll be nice for the podcast. I'll throw it on. It is a nice shirt.
It's good swag. I like it.
Yeah. Sort of like the Rock, like Attitude Era.
Oh man, but yeah, thanks again, Hazel. Thanks, Gamer Tylenol as well, and there will be an episode next week. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Follow me on Twitter.
Episode 7.
Follow me on Twitter.
Please.
Actually, yeah, you want to drop your socials real quick, Hazel?
Yeah, sure. So, my Twitter is @Halzyn. My Twitch is @Halzyn. You can follow me there for either my funny thoughts or my streams, respectively.
Which also
I make
contain your funny thoughts from time to time.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'm funny on the stream. I also make music. If you are interested in that, same name, Halzyn, everywhere. So
Halzyn everywhere. All right. Well, thank you once again, Halzyn everywhere, and we will see you next week. Rolling out, gamers.
Rolling out.
rolling out.